This episode is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. What do you bring to a holiday party? Simple, a bottle of Casamigos. Because nothing gets the party started like a Casamigos margarita, which isn't just for summer. In fact, it's the perfect pour all year round. Casamigos is the gift that always feels right, because anything goes with my Casamigos. Please drink responsibly. Imported by Casamigos Spirits Company, White Plains, New York. Casamigos Tequila, 40% alcohol by volume.
I am so excited for this spa day. Candles lit, music on, hot tub warm and ready. And then my chronic hives come back. Again, in the middle of my spa day. What a wet blanket. Looks like another spell of itchy red skin. If you have chronic spontaneous urticaria, or CSU, there is a different treatment option. Hives during my next spa day? Not if I can help it. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Oh my goodness, where do we go with this one? I haven't got a clue. Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome to Howe'er the podcast as we gather not long after the full-time whistle at Stamford Bridge as Sunderland score, I'm going to say a last-minute winner, 93rd minute winner to go second in the Premier League table, sandwiched between Manchester City in third and Arsenal in top. It might be time to get carried away at this point. This football club of ours is a roller coaster and a half. And I genuinely would have been sat here for a couple of minutes before recording, just genuinely trying to calm down a little bit because the adrenaline was pumping just to be able to speak. But as you can probably tell, I'm not sure the adrenaline has gone away, to be honest. It's still pumping after that last minute winner. Absolutely ridiculous performance from the lads. And a perfect wedding present. We very quickly need to say congratulations to our very own Gavin Henderson, who is getting married today. And the lads have given them an absolutely perfect wedding present for that. And he probably spent half of his wedding day checking in on the lads, to be honest. But absolutely unbelievable. And we've got a lot to get through and not much time to gather our initial thoughts on this unbelievable results, which we're going to be talking for years down the line about. And thankfully, I've got Andrew Smithson with me to help me. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, mate. I hope you're not expecting much sense from me because I am as high as a kite right now. It is, hey, just brilliant performance, brilliant result. And it's not bad, this being a Sunderland fan, Lark, is it?
I've got the Premier League table in front of me. I mean, you're looking at 3 wins out of the last 4 games. You're looking at, I mean, even the goals against column, there's still only, well, everyone else has got to play tomorrow, but you're looking at that, our defensive record. But it's not, this wasn't a smash and grab, Andrew. That's what's making me more giddy than, like, we've had results over the years where we've been under the cosh. I remember, I don't want to bring him up on a day like this, but you're talking under Howard Wilkinson where we were under the cushion, battered for 89 minutes and scored a winner. This wasn't that. This is us more than competing with the likes of Chelsea and actually for long periods of the game being the better side.
Yeah, without doubt. There I was, pleased as punch with the idea of us getting a point, thinking this really establishes us as a team that can compete against the stronger sides. So to then go and win it was just the cherry on top of the cake. But I hope people don't just see that goal coming late and assume it was some sort of freak smash and grab, because it wasn't. Sunderland arguably probably had the better chances, or certainly they weren't hanging on in at any point. Chelsea had the ball, but didn't know what to do with it. And that was because we set up fantastically and we played well. That is objectively one of just almost the perfect Premier League performance in a lot of respects. It might not be as glamorous as the 4-1 against Chelsea at the stadium that we always like to talk about, but it's up there for the levels we reached. I'm loving it. Just it was brilliant to watch. Brilliant.
Well, this is what we were talking about in one of the preview pods during the week. We were talking that we don't play. We're not talking like Sunderland aren't playing expansive football in terms of 1-touch, 2-touch, battering teams, getting in behind them. This is the most effective type of football I think I've ever seen Sunderland play. I mean, you could maybe, because the obvious comparison is going to be made with Peter Reid's side, very kind of, effective and efficient and all this sort of stuff in how they played. But this side is but it's a different game now. We're talking a quarter of a century later, and this side now know what they're doing. They just know how to deal with the different periods in the game. When Chelsea were on top, how we sat in and just said, right, well, come on, then break us down. It seemed like Chelsea have spent so much money and looked so exciting and, hammering teams like Ajax in midweek in the Champions League. And we just knew exactly what we do. And every player on the pitch knows what they're doing.
It's unreal. I mean, just before the board went up for added time, Chelsea it was a corner, and they just had no point putting it into the box. So they tried a short corner. They ended up passing it around the edge of the box. They didn't actually get the ball in the penalty area because they knew it was pointless. Because time and time again, when they did try and cross it in, there was a Sunderland player there first to it. But not only were they first to it, they were able to get it down and often find a Sunderland man and just ease us out of pressure. You're dead right. The players knew their job, and I'm going to call it. I think this team at the moment is better than the Peter Reid team at its best. I think they are a better footballing side and are capable of more in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about that defensive side of it. I think we got to the point in the game, Andrew, and I made a comment. We'll go through it in a minute before once we calm down. We'll try and go through some of the goals and obviously all the bits and pieces. But I wrote down at a point with about 10 minutes to go that I thought I could sense that we could feel like we could win it. And part of that is down to, you're talking about defending. And yes, we put our head on the line. We threw ourselves in front of things when we had to. But I think Chelsea was so nervous when they were on the attack of losing the ball because they felt how dangerous we were. Because every time we got the ball down, as you said, we had runners either side. We were running through the middle. They were so worried. They were keeping people back. And it was almost like when they were attacking, they were so nervous about trying something off the cuff. Because if they lost the ball, then they knew we were going to try and get in behind them.
Exactly right. Exactly right. This is what makes that performance different to a park and the bus. Because when we got the ball and when the opportunity was there, we were trying to spring forward. We were committing bodies forward. But our pace, some of the players at the moment they're absolutely rabid. There was times watching that where I was saying out loud, bloody hell, Sunderland are good. It's such a basic statement. And my daughter there was looking at us thinking, Dad, man, you just be able, but just there was just so many times I was like, oh, we're canny here. We're a good team. And I think you're right. Chelsea recognised that, and that restricted their ability going forward.
But it goes back to the point of what we started on, that, a lot of people will think that we might not necessarily have deserved this win. We've, and I bet it'll be interesting to see what happens in the national media, whether it's the narrative is a smash and grab. Because this wasn't a smash and grab. You heard, the commentators talking about the game was saying, so impressed with Sunderland, that they kept on saying this Sunderland side is fantastic. And we've gone to Stamford Bridge and stood up to Chelsea. But, we haven't been second best. We haven't allowed Chelsea to kind of pepper our we haven't relied on luck. We haven't relied on a goalkeeper to make a ton of saves, which you think, oh, God, we got away with one there. I mean, we deserved this win. I mean, you could argue, a point for either side, but I don't think anybody could argue if we won it like we did.
No, exactly. And if I put myself in the shoes of a Chelsea fan walking away, you'd have no complaints because, you couldn't be like, oh, we've been stiffed by VAR or, oh, there's been a fluke there. Sunderland have scored a goal that's spun in off somebody's backside. Sunderland won through being set up better tactically, and that was enough. I do think the narrative will be that Chelsea have blown it, Chelsea have underperformed or whatever. But that's not because that's how the game went. That's just because that's the best way to sell newspapers. It's probably boring for a lot of neutrals to read. Newly promoted team is establishing itself well and doing a good job in the Premier League. It's much better to look at multi-million-pound club have failed to fire. But I think if you were watching that genuinely and you weren't doing it in terms of trying to create clicks or increase readership, I think you would look at that and you would say, hey, Sunderland are a good team and there is the potential for them to do something this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, let's go into kind of how we did it, of course, but I want to start off with the system because nobody really kind of spotted this, I suppose, in the preview. We all thought he would go 4 at the back. We all thought we mentioned 5 at the back. We mentioned it, but I don't think anybody went for it and said this is what he's going to do. But it wasn't just the fact that he went with that you could say 5 at the back, 3 at the back, however you want to describe it. But it was the fact that you could see they'd worked on it because it was so fluid. You could see Geertruida stepping out into midfield when he needed to. Ballard was kind of, when we were pushed right up front, Ballard was moving into the middle of their half to push on for the press. You saw Michele going down that right-hand side, almost like a fullback at times. Trey Hume coming into central midfield, just wandering in when we were in possession on the other side. It was just all these things you were noticing. You're just going, and it probably comes from a place where we've been for so many years that we've not had systems and we've not had managers who've come up with these things where you think, wow, we can see what we're doing here and it's working.
Yeah, you're right. You can probably hear the shock in our voices. Again, if I put myself in the shoes of a fan of a different club or whatever, if I was watching that game and you couldn't see the names on the shirts, you would very easily believe that Sunderland were an established top half team who regularly went away from home and gave the very best teams a test. You're dead right. The setup, the tactics, everybody knew their job. And something you mentioned a little bit earlier, which I think was really important, was we knew how to approach different phases of the game. I will admit, we started brightly, but then when we conceded, it felt a lot like the Man United game. And I was thinking, are we in for a similar type of test? But against Man United, we then struggled for the next 20, 25 minutes, whereas we knew how to respond. I didn't get any sense of panic, Chris. It was like, yeah, okay, we're 1-0 down. It's not ideal, but we know what our jobs need to be for the next 10 minutes, and then we know what happens thereafter.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you're right. Well, we came out the blocks. And I thought, wow, we really believe today that we can win. But then we had that because we had a couple of half chances. Ballard's header at the back post after only just 2 minutes. Isidore was slid through as well. His shot was blocked, and that was only within 2 minutes. I thought, God, we've had 2 half chances at the very least in the first couple of minutes. I thought we're looking good already today, and then we had that kind of sucker punch after 3 minutes Garnacho gave them the lead. And at that point, I have to admit, Andrew, at that point, I was slightly worried because the goal came from a huge gap between Trey Hume and Michele on that right-hand side. And I thought, are the players still getting used to this system? Are there still things to iron out here? But again, and it was, I mean, the ball was, it was far too easy. I mean, we'll go back to that goal. We'll go on to the good stuff because that all follows. But the goal that we conceded was disappointing, especially after the start, because it felt like it was so easy for Chelsea.
Yeah, it was very basic. It wasn't a well-crafted goal. It was pretty straightforward. And yeah, maybe if we had gone on to lose 2 or 3-0, you might look at that and think, that needs to tighten up. But at the risk of sounding a bit cocky and as if I'm getting carried away with myself, we can afford not to worry about it too much because, as I say, a reaction to it was just what we needed.
Well, there's two things in there in terms of the reaction. I think, as you said, we avoided a 20, 30-minute period that we had at Manchester United where we kind of nipped it in the bud. And I thought it was incredible from all of the players that we still didn't miss a beat. Even though we went behind, we were still pressing high up. We still going for it. It seemed in the players' mentality to change absolutely nothing.
And that's how it should be. The best teams, and I'm not saying we're one of the best teams yet, in all seriousness, we've got a long way to go. But yeah, the stronger teams that achieve things are able to deal with adversity. They keep a level head. They don't get too high when things are going well, and they don't get too low when things are struggling. You will regularly see in the Premier League that the first goal is crucial because the weaker sides, once they're 1-0 down, they don't know what to do. They've set up in a certain way. Their plan is to hang on for as long as they can. And then suddenly, after going 1-0 down, it's either the other team are able to just see the match out, or the other team suddenly make it 2-0 or 3-0. But we just, stayed within our stride. There will be so many teams this weekend will concede an early goal, and that is them just done. But we just got ourselves going again, kind of, just brushed our shoulders off, and it just fantastic. And that is because everybody knows that the plans and the instructions they are being given are the right things to do, and they've been properly drilled into them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was 20 minutes, or 21 minutes, I think it might have been exactly, when we equalised, and thoroughly deserved. Again, because I thought we went at Chelsea, and in my notes, again, might be with rose-tinted glasses with Sunderland, but I was kind of writing notes like we're the better side at that point. And yeah, after 20 minutes, we talked about this on the preview, Andrew. I'll just get that out there. We talked about Michele's long throw. And it was mentioned in the press conference during the week, and Regis Lebris called it. He basically said it's a set piece. He went, that, and it should. But we threw it into an area where, look, basically we said, Dan Ballard, you stand there, and basically you win that first ball. And he did, flicked it on. Traore was brilliant in following up. And I think if you look at his reaction, I think he thought his shot was in. I think he was running away celebrating. Yeah. Ronaldo kind of, and I had a slight worry at one point whether Ronaldo handballed it, but I didn't see it. When it slowed it down, I thought I could kind of have a sigh of relief because he didn't, of course. But Isidore, I mean, that's what you want from your striker. Yard out, your keeper might save it, give it a flick, and finish it off.
Isidore isn't somebody you would necessarily think of as a fox in the box, but he was in the right place. And again, that is not by chance or mistake or anything. He'll be told what to expect, and he'll be told to be in and around there should something fall for him. You're right, we talked about the long throw in, and I wasn't going to say this, Chris, but seeing as you've pulled up the long throw in, I did say in the preview I wouldn't have minded bringing Gertruda in. Like I'm now gonna hope that nobody plays it back and just assumes that what I'm about to say is correct. But I did wonder if 5 at the back was going to happen.
Right, okay. I'm sure you said in midfield, but go on, carry on. We'll have to
I
listen
said
back.
at the back. I said at the back. No, but you're right. The long throw-ins have been a key feature for us. This one was odd because it wasn't like a missile. It was kind of looped in. It seemed to go up and down rather than straight across. But we had the men around there to attack it. It's not always going to work perfectly every time. There will be bits and pieces or half clearances or whatever. You're right. I think Traore thought he'd scored himself, but you've got to give him credit because that could have very easily ballooned over the bar. He's kept his shot down low, and that is meant that if it's taken a deflection or whatever, or it is blocked, it could still then fall for somebody else to force it over. And a lot of Sunderland's goals this season have been things of beauty. That one was slightly scrappy, but it wasn't stopping me celebrating it at all, you know?
You give me a goal from a long throw-in like that any day of the week. Don't worry about that. But there was, on 23 minutes, a couple of minutes after the goal, there was a couple of stats that came up. And Chelsea had 63% of the possession. But just to go back to the point about how effective the way we're playing at the moment, both sides had 5 attempts on goal. And we looked the better side. We looked more dangerous when we went forward. And it's because, like I said, it's the effectiveness of our game plan. Because Chelsea came up to the final third and went, right, what do we do now? Whereas we almost purposely broke from a point of view where Chelsea were unprepared from it.
Yeah. Possession, Chris, has always been an odd one because you can use it to almost suit different arguments, but you might as well have 93% of the ball. If you don't know what to do with it, it's no good. And the reason Chelsea had the lion's share of possession was because we wanted them to. We were happy for them to have the ball because we were confident in ourselves to know when was the time to engage or when was the time to just keep it tight, keep your shape at the back and let them aimlessly pass it amongst each other. So, all right, 63%. If you want to go down that route, you could use that to suggest Chelsea were all over us. But where was the ball in that 63%? It wasn't in the box a lot. It wasn't getting in behind us. It was all in front of us. And when we needed to, we were then either nicking it back or forcing Chelsea back.
Yeah.
Introducing Oakley Meta Vanguard, the new performance AI glasses designed for athletes. With hands-free capture on an action-ready ultra-wide camera, powerful open-ear speakers, and built-in Meta AI that syncs with your Garmin devices for real-time insights while you train. Take your performance to the next level with Oakley Meta Vanguard. Athletic intelligence is here. Learn more on meta.com.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This episode is brought to you by Contentful. Marketers, you know that feeling when your creative clicks? When that social post sends engagement through the roof? When your outside-of-the-box campaign hits ROI positive? When a personalized homepage turns prospects into customers? It's utter marketing bliss. Contentful helps you create tailored omni-channel experiences without working overtime. No stress, no limits, only possibilities. Get the feels at contentful.com.
Absolutely. And I did notice, for the last 15 minutes of the first half, that we really just sat in and dug in kind of our trenches. But it was like, it was the only example I could think of is, if you've got a younger brother or an older brother, when someone puts their hand on the head and the younger brother's just swiping at them, swiping punches at them, but can't reach them. But it was a bit like that where we just knew I just felt, even though Chelsea, for probably the last 10 minutes of the second half at least, 10, 15 minutes, They kind of pinned us in terms of territory. But not once did I feel uncomfortable and think, I'm getting a bit concerned here. I just thought, we've got them at arm's length here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It was at arm's length. And something you touched on in the preview pod was that there was every chance of them getting frustrated. And that's what happened. The players were frustrated. The crowd certainly were. And that was not because they were being unlucky and had created a boatload of chances. It was because everybody could see it was going to be hard to pick holes through us. And so we did sit back. But there's sitting back because you have to, and there's sitting back because you want to. And I think it was because we wanted to, and we'd worked out that in the long run, that would then allow us the space in the second half to hit them, and it's worked a treat. It worked an absolute treat.
Yeah. In the second half, because I was worried that we might come out in terms of and letting Chelsea have that territory again, but we didn't. And in that second half, for a long period of time, it was to and fro, where Chelsea were huffing and puffing. We were doing the same game plan as we had in the early part of the first half. But I don't know about you, Andrew, and again, this is where my note kind of came from in that last 10 minutes. But I just felt when it got to 15 minutes left, you could see almost us crank it up and just say, right. And I do think if you listen to Regis Sabris talk about periods of games, it's almost like he says it's difficult to, and I think in one press conference he talked about being difficult to make a chance that isn't really necessarily a set piece in the first half because players are focused, players aren't tired. And he was like, he kind of suggested the second half when teams tire and teams give you a bit of space is the time to really crank it up. And you could feel it, you could sense it with 15 minutes to go that we thought, we're in the game here. Now's our chance to get all 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good point. There is no use in absolutely hammering a team at certain phases of the game when they are still switched on. You reserve the energy for later on when they are getting desperate and you're likely to find holes in their defence. You've used a phrase there which I think is exactly right. Chelsea were just huff and puff. I get nervous watching Sunderland no matter what the circumstances are. So, every time Chelsea crossed over the halfway line, I'm thinking, oh, flipping heck, this is it. This is when it goes wrong. But I think if I was to now watch this game again on repeat and watching it with the emotion taken away, yeah, there were very few times when you could say, Chelsea looked dangerous there, because we made them appear ponderous.
Yeah. Just on that point, can you remember? I'm trying to go from memory now and I'm looking at my notes. I can't remember Chelsea having a real gilt-edged chance where you thought they should have really taken advantage of that.
The only one I can think of was it might have been from our era. It might have been Katruda. Yeah,
but it was offside. So
I was going to say in the end it didn't matter. But at that moment in time when suddenly Chelsea are presented with the ball pretty much central in the box, you do think, oh, here we go. But other than that, no, I mean, Roofs has made a few saves and they were routine, really. There was nothing there where you thought, oh, he's pulled us out of the fire. It was all stuff you would expect a competent goalkeeper to deal with. And it's difficult because I am still hyper, but I'm trying to run through things in my mind, and I can't remember us being under the cosh. I can remember Chelsea having lots of the ball and us dealing with it, but there weren't many moments where you chewing on your fingernails.
Yeah. Well, let's get to that moment, Andrew. 93rd minute. Ronaldo kind of putting his foot in, nicking the ball in the box, and then it falls to Katruda. And this is the mentality of this team right here, because the amount of times that a player would think, we're going to settle for the point. Let's aim for the corners. Let's get it out of play. Let's just kick it as far as we can. He took a touch, looked up, and he saw Brian Broby, who, to be fair, knew exactly his role in all of this. And I thought he was fantastic. You could see his work rate when he came on. He knew exactly what his role was, which I think Regis Labris, again, he's talked about trying to teach him that the mindset of being a defensive striker almost in games like this, where you need to have that work rate. He was on his bike straight away, ball over the top. At one point, I thought he was through, and I thought he's going to run on. But it was so clever not to snatch at that and think, we've got a chance here if I kind of come back and take my time and hold the ball up. And the way he held the ball up, and it was so bizarre because I was thinking, well, the Chelsea player is going to make a tackle any second now. And Broby just held it up and held him off, laid it off to Talby. But again, going back to mentality, Talby must have ran about 60 yards to get up the pitch with him. And I think I might be wrong. There was someone else in the middle. It might have been Xhaka getting to him. I can't remember who that was. But someone ran beyond him. I can't remember who it was. But laid back to Talby. And in the 93rd minute, you've come on as substitute. You get a chance from the edge of the box. There's every chance you're just going to try and smash it into the top corner or just hit as hard as you can. I mean, it's almost like Tommy Watson-esque, wasn't it? Almost to just pass it into the corner and bend it into that far post. But an unbelievable goal. And I genuinely think this was all about mentality.
It was, because that's 2 weeks in a row now we have scored late on. Both times coming from us winning the ball near our own box. Now, last week against Wolves, it was different because we carried the ball up along the deck, whereas this time we went a bit more direct. But it was a brilliant goal. I think Broby will get a real shot in the arm from that. That assist for him will be a brilliant confidence boost for him.
His moment, wasn't it? His big moment, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, but you're talking about mentality. He was calm. As you say, could have very easily tried to spin and have a shot and hit the ball wide. But no, he is as cool as a cucumber in that situation. And so was Talby. Talby's first goal in the Premier League, and he put it away like he does it every week. It was quite a tricky chance to put away, to get that technique, the way he was coming onto the ball to keep the shot low and accurate. You could have very easily seen him blaze that over. But no, the mentality was right. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Xhaka that it bombed on, because he was up and down that pitch brilliantly. There is no way he's in his 30s. I will not believe it, because he just looks like he's got the brains of an experienced player, but still has the fitness levels of somebody much younger. But it was just brilliant. Just how many times in the past have we looked at Sunderland and they'll win the ball and they don't know what to do with it. But this was just, everybody saw this as an opportunity and they executed it brilliantly. And just a really good goal to cap off a good performance, and fair play to them. I hope they enjoy the journey back, because they deserve to be proud of themselves today.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to kind of single out players in a performance like this. I mean, it's kind of you almost don't want to, but Granit Xhaka, as you said, I mean, again, in the last 10 minutes, there was times when Chelsea had the ball in their own half, and Granit Xhaka was one of the furthest forward, almost, and you could see him waving the Sunderland players forwards to press them in the last 10 minutes. And we talk about him driving this side and, giving these players the mental capacity to say, well, we can win this. And you could see him physically doing it, where at times he was ahead of Brian Broby at one point with the press in the last 10 minutes. And you just thought, and you were almost worried. My instinct was, get back. I want you in front of the defence, but he just knows what he's doing. And you can go about on the ball and whatever, but he leads by example, and that everyone just followed him, and it was, and that kind of leads then to the mentality in the 93rd minute when we get the goal.
Yeah. Your instinct, like you say, is to be screaming, saying, protect the back four. But that's your instinct as a Sunderland fan, dare I say it, not as a fan of a team who've got top quality players who know when and where to be more aggressive and further up the pitch. There was a tackle in the second half, kind of on the opposite side of the pitch to where the camera is, where somebody tried to go around the outside of him, looked to have got past him, and yet Xhaka doesn't just win the tackle, but he keeps the ball in, and then he's suddenly on his feet, and we're away. It was phenomenal. I know you said there it's difficult to pick out individuals, and I agree. I would just like to say, though, that Ronaldo was good. I think he perhaps knew that he deserved his teammates deserved a favour for him, that he'd maybe dropped them in it against Aston Villa, and he needed to put his hands up and repay them for that. Ronaldo, like Xhaka, looked like what they are. Two players who have played on this stage before against really high quality teams, and they just looked so comfortable at the level. It was phenomenal. Not so much Xhaka, but Ronaldo as well. Ronaldo has got that side to him. You can tell that he's played under Simeone, because he does play on the edge, and sometimes, there's a couple of times he'll take a foul when it isn't really there, and he'll mouth off when actually there's no reason to mouth off. It's just all deliberate. He knows why he's doing these things. Chelsea, for me, it was a sign of their desperation. They were going down time and time again, holding their faces, rubbing their knees as if they'd been shot. You then see the replay, and it's a brilliant tackle from us. But it was showing their, as I say, desperation. But towards the end of the game, it was actually Sunderland that were using some of those little gamesmanship type tactics, with Ronaldo leading the way, and Xhaka also just using every bit of experience to just get us over the line, get the job done. Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, look, we could go through them. Gatroda, absolutely brilliant. Ballard, another fantastic performance. I mean, how he's taken to the Premier League is just incredible. Mukiele, as he's been for the rest of the season, he was fantastic. Trey Hume was fantastic. Siddiqui, another Siddiqui performance up and down. Enzo Lafay's work rate. Traore was putting tackles in. Isidore just ran himself into the ground. And he knew it as well. The substitutes all played there. Chris Rigg, especially Talby, of course, and Brian Broby, of course, for that goal. But Andrew, we said at the start of the season that, or for the first few games, that we were getting those results. The likes of Brentford, where we were saying we're doing what it takes to win games, but we were then putting the caveat on, going, we actually think this team can get better, but we were scared to say it almost because the results were so good. But they are, and it's kind of now. I'm laughing because I'm looking at the league table as I'm going through this. Second in the table, it's a little bit scary to think how good this side can get.
It is. I mean, nobody can now throw that nonsense at us that we've not played anybody. Yeah. I mean, everybody always says, "Oh, there's no easy games in the Premier League." Unless we want to put Sunderland down and say they've not played anybody good. Well, we now have played somebody good. We've played somebody who are the blooming world club champions. They're a top quality team, and we more than comfortably matched them. Just a couple of points there. Chris Rigg, you said, came on. There was a moment towards the end where Cucurella had a bit of a shove at Chris Rigg. And he just gave it back. This is a young kid who could very easily be overawed. Cucurella does that type of Can I swear, Chris? I can't remember. Can I say shithousen or not?
Of course, you can say whatever you like, man.
I've said it now.
Especially today.
Yeah, but Cucurella has done that type of thing to some of the biggest names on the planet. But Chris Rigg just thought, now it's a bother. I'll give you some back. Le Fay, early on in the second half, was twisting and turning in their kind of right back position and wins a free kick. That level of skill was easily as good as anything I saw from the Chelsea players. There is the possibility of this team getting better. We have got good players across the team. Like you say, from 1 to 11 and the subs, they've all played a part. It is hard to pick out individuals, because as soon as you say something like, oh, Ballard was fantastic, you then look at the team sheet and you think, oh, aye, but so was everybody else around him. Yeah. I've said it a couple of times tonight. This was not a fluke. This was a squad of good players showing what they're about.
Yeah, and we could talk about this all day, Andrew, but we need to stop sometime. So now's a good time as any. So thank you very much, Andrew, for giving you your initial thoughts on that unbelievable win against Chelsea.
I will just jump in very quickly, Chris. How on earth, just before half time, was that given as a foul against Trey Hume?
I was going to say that early on when you mentioned it.
It's a brilliant result. I'm high as a kite. I'm buzzing. Every time I think of that incident, it's bringing me back down and making me annoyed. That was one of the best tackles I've seen all season, and he gets penalised for it. Yeah. I mean, it was so bad, it's nearly spoiled the day for us. But
Trey Hume knows it was a great tackle. We know it was a great tackle. We won 2-1, so that's all that matters. But thanks very much, Andrew. Appreciate it, mate.
Fantastic, and just I hope everybody enjoys the night celebrating the win.
Absolutely. And I mean, I said it before, but I think it really will be a historic win today that Sunderland got at Chelsea. I think people will be talking about this for a long time, especially when we end up finding out where this might lead, because that is the scary thought about this season, where this all might be heading towards. But yeah, it's worth seeing again that Sunderland, of course, before all of the Sunday games, there's only been 2 games on the Saturday, but we sit second in the Premier League table, 2 points behind leaders Arsenal and 1 point ahead of Manchester City in third. And we are flying high at the moment. And it definitely feels good to be a Sunderland fan at the moment. So thanks again, everyone, for listening. We'll be back with another podcast tomorrow to go through this in finer detail. We'll talk about that Trey Hume tackle again. And I think Cucurella might, on another day could have been sent off as well. But anyway, we'll get into the detail of all of that. Don't forget, we'll have pods coming every single day, and we'll have all the reaction on the Roker Report website. But from us, it's bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.